You know, this raises such an interesting point. I remember when I was a kid, I would watch Hercules, Xena, Buffy Vampire Slayer, or Stargate, and what all these shows had in common is that no matter how bad the situation got, no matter the cliffhanger, you pretty much knew that all the heroes would survive, without exception. I mean, maybe, okay, like, there was an exception. Sometimes an actor would quit, or the directors wanted to fire someone, and that was, like, the rare instance when someone would die from the show, and I'm thinking, like, Jack Daniels on Stargate, who was away for a couple of seasons. But, like, that was, like, incredibly rare, and it was definitely the exception. Most of the time, the heroes would survive. And this removed tension to a certain degree, and all of this was flipped on its head with the introduction of the TV show Lost. Remember watching Lost, and the first time characters started dying, especially characters that were well established, it raised tensions. It managed to create a really great TV show because you never knew who was going to survive. So when you actually had a cliffhanger, it was very exciting. And you then also have other TV shows like Game of Thrones, obviously, but even The Walking Dead. I would say that one of the main reasons The Walking Dead became popular was the fact that it didn't shy away from killing cast members. In fact, it went a little bit overboard with it to the point where certain seasons down the line, none of the original cast members managed to survive, making the show a little bit disappointing for the initial viewers. But still, I mean, killing characters is really great for the viewers, especially when you do it permanently. Unfortunately, I can tell you this is not really great for the writer, because I'm writing a video game now, and being on the other side of the table, I can tell you that you really get attached to the characters. And especially once you kind of nail their personalities and you understand their ambitions and their motivations, they become really fun to write. They become really interesting. So when you kill them off, you kind of want to write more about them, but you really can't, right? So, like, if you're a bad writer, I guess, like, what you can do is to bring back the character. And this is something that you notice, especially with Dungeons & Dragons. GMs do this a lot. Like, they like an NPC so much, they enjoy writing it, they enjoy role-playing it, so they give that NPC plot armor, much to the dismay and horror of the playing characters. And everyone points out that this is bad GMing, right? In Lord of the Rings, like, you have the same thing when Gandalf is being brought back. Kind of removes some of that tension, and it makes it seem like, well, the heroes are going to win because, like, look, Deus Ex Machina. And, you know, Gandalf isn't going to die because, oh, they brought him back, like, they're not going to make him into Kenny. So that is, like, one of the bad things in writing, I guess. Like, when the writer just can't help himself. And George R.R. Martin is guilty of this as well. You know, he was shaming Tolkien for bringing back Gandalf, and I remember, like, watching a couple of interviews with him where he was proud on the fact that he is killing his characters, but in reality, he's guilty as well. Like, he brought several characters back from the dead. He brought the Mountain. He also, in the books, he brought the Arya Stark's mother. She's brought back. And, of course, Jon Snow is brought back, and many other characters, they come back from the grave in the books, and he is guilty of the same thing. Now, this is bad writing. At least in my opinion, like, again, it removes some of the tension. Some people may disagree, some people may, well, how dare you shame George R.R. Martin? It's like, look, no one is perfect, right? Like, everyone makes mistakes. But, with that out of the way, I would say that the modern reason on why characters are being brought back, which is what Critical Drinker is talking about, has nothing to do with bad writing. It has everything to do with the, I would say, the industrialization of art. Like, they're no longer making movies now as an art form, as they used to do for so many decades. Now they're creating movies on the assembly line. And every movie must have, like, these ingredients. Like, you go to a McDonald's and they already know, like, what a hamburger is like. It's like, you're going to get the soggy burger no matter what. It's going to taste the same. in all the restaurants you go because it's the same ingredients, right? There's no creativity, there's nothing. You're not going to get like a chef that experiments with the ingredients and tries to create something good. No, it's the soggy burger with the soggy loaf of bread and like some pickles thrown in it, and that's what you're getting. And this is what they know, right? So you look at these movies, and they do not advertise themselves on new ideas, on interesting concepts. The only thing that they use is the brand, right? So, like, it is called Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars anymore. Like, the title is there. It's called The Matrix, but it's not The Matrix anymore. Like, they keep the title. And they do the same for characters. So, in this situation, they bring back Emperor Palpatine because he's famous, right? Like, everyone knows Emperor Palpatine. Like, he has to be there. They can't create a new villain because they lack the creativity. They do not have the Michelin star chef at McDonald's to create something new with those ingredients. So they just follow the formula. It's the same with the Matrix. Like, they have to bring back Neo. Like, Neo died, but it doesn't matter. They're bringing him back because, like, that is the brand. So, like, this is not even bad writing anymore. It's just, like, the junk food of art, if you will. And I seen it as well in Japan with Dragon Ball Super, for example. Like, Akira Toriyama is famous for doing this, much to Geekdom 101's dismay and horror, because you guys can make, like, 20 minutes videos to explain and rationalize the plot holes that can't be explained and rationalized. And for example, bringing back Frieza, right, in Dragon Ball, same shit. In fact, I remember, like, watching Dragon Ball 1, like, oh my god, the first time Krillin died. Oh, like, that was impactful. Like, everyone was like, holy shit, Krillin died, you know? But, like, so many characters died in Dragon Ball, and they're constantly being wished back to the point where, like, death doesn't have any meaning. It's again, going back to the point where I was watching Stargate, Buffy, and all the other previous TV shows, but you know that the heroes are going to make it no matter what, so, like, when someone dies, you know it's not permanent. And at that point, you just remove the concept of death altogether. There is no more loss, there is no more... It's just like, meh. And even then, it's like, now it's even worse, because at least when the heroes triumph over the villain, you're like, well, at least the villain has finally been defeated. But now if they can come back from the grave, it's like, well, what was the point? Right? It's the same thing like the cartoonish, bottomless pit that we remember from our youth when watching children's cartoons. It's like the villain falls in the bottomless pit only to return next episode. So it's pretty much like that. But again, like in this situation with Hollywood, it's not about bad writing. It's the inability to write, I would say. Like they just do not have the power to write a compelling villain anymore. They do not know what a compelling villain even looks like to be able to write it. So they will just like bring someone like Emperor Palpatine, which, you know, can't be defeated by one sword reflecting lightning back at him, but instead has to be defeated with two swords reflecting lightning back at him. Incredibly boring, incredibly uninteresting, but hey, you know, you get like some cool special effects on the screen, and you eat your popcorn, and that's the movie. But it's called Star Wars, right? So it must be good because it's the title. Let me know what you guys think, though, and don't forget to check the pinned comment in the comment section. Take care.